CDZI's 2023 10K annual report. I've been invested in this company for well over a year. My very first shares were in 2022. So I've been around this company quite a bit. I've recently, within the last 6 months to a year, investing a lot more, but I've always had an eye on it. And when Pluto was entering Aquarius, I knew we were entering more of a water-based phase on Earth. So it was very important for me to find at least a gem, a water stock that I can get behind moving forward and I can invest in that has growth potential, and then I can grow my money while being invested within it. And there's a couple water companies out there. Even some give dividends on the higher end because they're utility companies for sure. So they have more stabilized money. But in a lot of cases, the growth isn't there as what I would like. Now, CDZI does not provide a dividend, but it's a penny stock, and there's a lot of growth on the bone to be had to get, you know, hopefully one day a 10x at least. That would be great. So and like I said at the beginning, I was getting kind of queasy on what it's been doing, but I dug back in, I did my research, and now I'm pretty confident in investing more money within Cadiz moving forward. I am pretty confident in that, and you know, we have some notes from the CEO as well. So this was from the annual report, and this is what they have on their books. We own approximately 46,000 acres of land with high quality, naturally recharging groundwater resources in Southern California's Mojave Desert, Cadiz property. Our land holdings with vested water rights were assembled by our founders in the early 1980s, relying on NASA imagery that identified a desert aquifer system at the base of a vast southern mountain watershed. The aquifer system underlying our property is in the Cadiz Valley. Cadiz Ranch presently holds 17 to 34 million acre-feet of groundwater in storage, comparable in size to the largest reservoir in the United States, Lake Mead. That's a lot of water. That's a lot. 17 to 34 million acre-feet of groundwater for storage, comparable to the size of the largest reservoir in the U.S. So when it comes to fundamentals, when it comes to sell value, if the company ever wanted to sell to a larger corporation or something like that, they have sway. All right, they have sway. So say, for example, you know, they have 46,000 acres, and right now, you know, you can look at the Mojave Desert, what some of the prices are going for in the area. In Mojave, the prices per acre could be, you know, $13,000, as you see here, just for some land. Now you have to understand, being that not all of that land is, you know, habitable. You know, you can't use all of it for agriculture. There's other things. You're not going to get that top of dollar for the Mojave Desert, right? But say if you get wholesale, let's say $8,000 per acre, which is like a $5,000 discount, depending on where you look, right? So we do 46,000 times 8,000 per acre. That's $368 million worth in land assets, like right now, like today, you know. And in California, where land and water is at a premium and it's only getting worse, that's just going to keep raising up the price, right? So who's to say in, you know, 2, 3, 4 years, 5 years, you know, the land assets not over half a billion dollars, not over, you know, $500 million in land assets. So those are things in mind. And that's even before we're getting into like the revenues that they're trying to build, the different products they provide. That's just straight what they own. Okay. And so now let's see if when we go to acre foot per water, right? So on the low end, they have 17 million acre feet of groundwater. So right now in San Bernardino County, California, acre feet per water is going for around 563 acre feet. Now, that's on the low side. Now we get into a PR that was recently out. What they did for another company, it was higher. But let's say for the low end, right? 17 million times 563 per acre foot. That's $9.571 billion worth of groundwater. Think about that. Now, understand one thing. Groundwater has a lot of pollutants, and it costs a lot to, well, it doesn't necessarily cost a lot, but it costs something to not only get the water out, to purify it for its drinkable or for its uses in agriculture or anything like that. So you can understand that the ground that worth, that $9.5 billion of worth will be less. But even still, say if you take half that off, about $4 billion in groundwater, or even less. Let's just say it's $1 billion worth of groundwater at that acre per footage. It's a lot of money. And the float right now in the market cap for the company right now has like a $63 million float in the market cap. So it's sitting, and the price is at, $2. So, it's sitting around, based off Matt, like $150 million market cap right now for the company, just offhand. So it's very undervalued for what it actually tangibly has on its books, for what it could be sold for in the future to a larger institution. Now, the CEO did say that a buyout did fall through a couple years ago. So now they're just on their own, and they're okay with that because they're growing. Now, let's get into the PR that just happened. Let's get into the PR, because this was April 24th. Innovative Solomon Hills project will support 4,000 Central Coast working families near Vandenberg Space Force Base, Los Angeles, California, April 24th, 2024. Cadiz Inc. announced today that the company and Fenner Gap Mutual Water Company, Fenner Gap, signed a water supply agreement with Solstra Communities California LLC, Solstra, for delivery of 1,275 acre feet per year of water from the Cadiz water supply and storage project to support development of more than 4,000 homes for military and working families along Central California coast. Under the terms of the Solstra agreement, water supply will be made available to Solstra via coastal branch of State Water Project through an exchange with one or more contractors of the California State Water Project. Cadiz expects to receive net revenue of approximately $850 per acre foot in 2024 dollars for waters purchased by Solstra over the contract term. That's big. That is big. Let me get this right real quick. So think about that. $850 per acre foot. That's almost $300 more than what San Bernardino County is saying that the build price is for them. So we do $1,275 per acre a foot year times $850. So for that year, that's $1,083,750. So that's over $1 million of just pure net revenue from one source, and they're continuing to land deals and whatnot. So I'm excited because right now they're still pre-revenue. We're gonna get into the next slide where they've been selling these ATEC systems, but they didn't even sell $1 million yet, even though they're trying to scale that up as quick as possible. But $1 million kind of just already in the books, that's great. And as you see at the bottom, I have my share count for CDZI. I have 365 shares right now. I'm down about 30%. That's okay. My cost per share is $3.17, and it was last trading at $2.25. I got in this company, I believe, well, like under $1.50, but that was like 2-3 years ago. I've ran this company a couple times with trades, so I kind of bought a little high, but now I'm starting to dollar cost average back down because of this information. CDZI ATEC revenues. For the ATEC systems, it was a company they bought about 2 years ago, and they're a groundwater treatment solution company. As you see, there's these blue tanks. This is where they put the groundwater in. They have their system over here where they filter out all the bad things, all the bad chemicals, all the bad metals, and whatnot. And it's a patent. It's a protected patent as well. The company's been around for a couple of decades at this a handful of decades, but now it's starting to find its stride, and hopefully they can scale it up and really make some money. So overall, for the annual report, revenue totaled about $2 million during the year end of December 31st, 2023, primarily related to ATEC sales, totaling about $800,000. All right, so nearly half of its revenue came from ATEC systems. And so let's go back to a later, earlier PR to get some context of what this company and what the CEO and what the board of directors believe this company can do for Cadiz. So this is from November 13th, 2023. Today, Cadiz Inc. is pleased to mark the 1-year anniversary of its acquisition of our water treatment operating subsidiary, ATEC Water Systems, LLC, ATEC, a leading producer of specialized water filtration solutions for contaminated groundwater sources. Since Cadiz acquired the business in Q4 2022, ATEC has secured contracts and begun production on projects expected to generate significant revenues beginning in full year or fiscal year 2024. ATEC segment revenues are expected to total approximately $1.4 million in fiscal year 2023. So they missed the boat by about $500,000. I mean, it is what it is. They're about $600,000 short, and exceed $12 million in fiscal year in the fiscal year 2024 with projected segment positive operating income. To exceed $12 million for fiscal year 2024 with projected segment positive operating income of approximately $3 to $4 million during fiscal year 2024. So that's going to be a big jump, going from what actually happened, 800,000, to trying to reach that mark of 12 million in revenue. That's over a 12x. All right. Can they do it? It's possible. They have some deals that we're going to want to talk about. And again, this type of technology, it's scalable. It can go bigger, as you see big tanks, and even some cases they can go smaller for smaller situations. It's very customizable, and that's what I like about ATEC systems. We are pleased with ATEC's success and its promise to deliver a robust source of future cash flow for the business while meeting the urgent need for access to clean water in communities affected by groundwater contamination, said Susan Kennedy, Executive Chair of Cadiz, the CEO. So, and this was in March 2023, right? And this is where they get their 12 million for 2024 from. In March 2023, ATEC was awarded a $10 million contract to build filtration systems to remove iron and manganese from groundwater supply for the Central Utah Water Conservatory District's Vineyard Wellified Groundwater Polishing Project. That's a long name. A treatment facility that will deliver 6 MGD. I forget what that was called, or approximately 54,000 acre feet of groundwater per year to Utah's community. The 320 48-inch filters to be delivered under this contract are expected to be completed in 2024. So there's going to be an infusion of about $10 million coming from this project alone, Central Valley, Utah Conservatory Vineyard Relified Groundwater District. So that's a big jump, and that's why that November PR makes a lot more sense. Because how do you jump from, projected of 1.4 to 12 when you actually did only 800,000? But they already know that in the back of their heads they got that big Utah contract coming. So that's big time. That is big time. And I've been researching groundwater a lot more. It's a growing thing. Most people get their water from groundwater, and a lot of it is contaminated. And so it needs to be treated, especially when water is coming at a premium. People are trading water back and forth. It has to have, good quality, drinkable. You can use it for agriculture. So this system definitely provides a great solution. And so let's go into what their custom solutions are a little bit. At ATEX, we're innovators, and we figured out how to construct groundwater treatment without a lot of the extras in conventional systems. We rely on an array of small, modular, vertical tanks rather than the usual long horizontal tanks. As you see here, they're vertical. That array has a smaller footprint, which means a smaller building to house the equipment. Our backwash system is simple, require no additional pumps or storage. That's good. In most cases, our equipment requires no add-on peripheral systems, which is also nice for the consumer. System controls are simpler and less expensive. Our overall design is less complicated than usual, making the equipment easier to install for contractors. Also a good benefit. Once in place, our systems have lower operating and maintenance costs. Our filters and other media rarely need to be regenerated or replaced. They look pretty sturdy. They look very simple, which is really good. When you're trying to sell this to somebody, you don't really want everything to be so complicated where they forget the use of it and the benefit. The benefit of it is it does its job. It treats the groundwater at a very high quality level. You don't have to maintain a lot. I'm not going to be calling up the company every day. Hey, what's wrong with this? Hey, what's wrong with that? That's a hassle. You just let it do its job. And that's what I like. We powder coat all immersed surfaces of our vessels to give them long operating life. They look very sturdy. Very, very sturdy. And so you see a little bit here of the system in play. Very simple system. I'm sure it gets more complex when the engineering's involved, but I don't need to know about that. And gematria-wise, we have CDZI, ATEC groundwater treatment, 333 English ordinal. Simple enough, easy enough, powerful decode. That's what we look for, right? CDZI, ATEC groundwater treatment, 333 English ordinal. Easy peasy. We have also ATEC water, which is 33 in English reduction, and ATEC's ground H2O for water, H2O's water is 137 in English ordinal, which is the 33rd prime. So you see there's some powerful decodes for ATEC and CDZI, the groundwater industry. Very excited. They, upon delivery, hopefully, of this Utah system for 10 million, that's on the balance sheets for next year. That's a huge increase. That's a huge jump, right? So I am over heels excited. I'm going to continue to invest, but I know the downsides as well. And there are some downsides to think about, or you could think about it as an opportunity as well. And that's in the next slide. As I said, I'm very excited about this company. I believe there's a great future, but there are also some downsides as well. And it's all about the opportunity cost and how you see it. And it comes from their loans. and it comes from how these loans are being paid off with some dilution via share payments. So let's just go through let's go through some of the excerpts from the filings to get a better understanding of what we're dealing with, and we know where the booby traps are with investing in this company. So we're not surprised why the price is going down. The price has been going down, but at least now I've scoped out the landscape and I understand why, and I really just see it as a discount for the future. And so this is very recently. On March 6, 2024, we entered into a third amendment to the capital agreement and first amendment to security agreement with HHC and Fund 2012, HERMA. Before entering into the third amended credit agreement, HERMA purchased the outstanding secured non-convertible term loans under the credit agreement. So they purchased HERMA, which is a big investor, like the largest investor in CDZI, purchased the other loans from other companies out for Cadiz. They said, you know what? Forget all that. We have enough money. We'll pay it off, so the company just owes us. In connection with the agreement, the existing holders of both the convertible loan and non-convertible term loans consented to effectuate the third amended credit agreement in consideration of consent fee in the aggregate amount of $479,845,000, payable in the form of our common stock, valued at $2.89 per share, which is probably why we've seen the price dip, because it was at about $3 for the longest time. But if they're putting almost 200,000 shares on the float at that price, it's no wonder why we're at about 225 right now, which would be registered pursuant to an effective shelf registration statement on Form S3 and a prospectus supplement thereunder. The third amended credit agreement provides, among other things, a new tranche of senior secured convertible term loans from HERMA in an aggregate principal amount of $20 million, having a maturity date of June 30th, 2027. B, the aggregate principal amount of the secured non-convertible term loans acquired by HERMA has been increased from $20 million to $21.2 million, and the applicable repayment fee in respect thereof has been eliminated. And C, the convertible loan existing prior to the third amended credit agreement in aggregate principal amount of approximately $16 million plus interest accruing thereon has become unsecured. And D, extension of the maturity date for the existing convertible loan and non-convertible loans to June 30th, 2027. The annual interest rate remains unchanged at 7%. Interest on the $21.2 million of the remaining principal amount will be paid in cash. Interest of the aggregate $36 million principal amount of the new secured convertible debt and existing convertible loan is paid in kind or pay in kind PIK on quarterly basis. So it's a lot. Let's break this down real quick. I have some notes on the side to help a little bit more to break this financial jargon down, because I had to meditate over it a little bit. I had to read it a couple times, research a couple times to really understand it. And let's break it down. And so this is before I get into breaking down, let me do this other point that adds a little bit more sense. They just had this PR recently as well. The additional $20 million in capital to be provided by HERMA will carry a 7% PIK in kind that we just talked about, paid in kind we just talked about, PIK coupon, and be convertible into Cadiz common stock at a price of $5.30 per share. The transaction remains subject to execution of definitive transaction documents and is expected to be completed expeditiously. All right. So now we got all that. So let's break it down. First order business. CDZI had loans from other companies outside of Harima. Harima, it's one of the biggest shipping companies in the world. It has a lot of money. It's one of its main purposes is to try to go green. They're big on ESG. They're big on, you know, carbon footprint and stuff like that. But they're mostly within the shipping industry. But they work with water. So they bought those loans out. So now the company CDZI owes all their loans, everything, to Harima, their biggest investor. So they consolidated that right there. To get out of that contract, the Cadiz had to pay up 106,000 shares to that consenting company at a value of $2.89 per share. Hence why I do believe we saw a dip in price from about $3 to about $2.25 in kind of a short amount of time over the last month or so. It just makes sense because, again, this was on March 6th. So if you look at the chart of CDZI, it kind of makes sense. And so now we're here. They got paid in shares, the consenting company, for the loan. So now, where's the landscape now for Harima and them getting their money paid back to them? So a benefit to this is it consolidates who we owe money to. Another benefit is they extended the maturity dates out to 2027, June 30th, 2027. So we still technically have 3 years and a month, or 2 months, say. So we have 3 years and 2 months. So we have a great amount of time to pay this loan back. And what's great to know is we have $10 million coming in 2024 from the Utah contract. So we understand that portion. And so there's 2 loans technically that Harima has under Cadiz. Okay? We have one loan that's $21.2 million. And then we have another one that's, I believe, let me see that one more time, $36 million. No. It's $21.2 million and $16 million. Correct. Okay. So it's about it's about $36 million in principal amount all in together. And for Gematria, we have Harima International Group Services SA, that's the full name of it, a good financier for Cadiz Inc. CDZI equals 333 English reduction. CDZI CEO Susan Kennedy buys shares. This was on April 19th, 2024. A little bit about Susan Kennedy. Susan Kennedy is chairman of the Cadiz Board of Directors and CEO of the company. Ms. Kennedy joined the board in February 2021 and was elected chairman in February 2022. In January 2024, Ms. Kennedy was appointed CEO. Ms. Kennedy has led a distinguished career as a policymaker and entrepreneur, a top advisor to California governors, former commissioner of the California Public Utilities Commission, and founder and chief executive of a distributed energy company. Ms. Kennedy joined the board of directors of Cadiz in March 2021 and currently serves as executive chair of the Water Solutions Company, which is headquartered in LA and has infrastructure assets in San Bernardino, LA, and Kern County. Prior to entering the private sector, Ms. Kennedy served for 2 decades as at the highest levels of California government, including Chief of Staff to the Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger and Cabinet Secretary to Governor Gray Davis from 2003 to 2006. Ms. Kennedy served as Commissioner of the California Public Utilities Commission, and which regulates the state's investor-owned utilities in the role she oversaw. The Commission's efforts to ensure water utilities deliver clean, safe, and reliable water to the customers and at reliable rates. In her leadership role for 2 California governors, Ms. Kennedy was responsible for negotiating some of the largest agreements among agricultural interests environmentalists, rural and urban water users for multi-billion-dollar investments in water supply, storage, and conveyance facilities, as well as conservation and environmental restoration projects, including the $8 billion 10-year restoration of San Francisco Bay Delta ecosystem and early plans to restore the Salton Sea. So, I mean, when you talk about a CEO for this specific company, she's the person. She's the woman you want. When it comes to utilities, especially water, is highly regulated. Well, you want somebody with the connections already in the politic world to, sift through all those regulations and whatnot. And I think she's really good for that job. I think she's really good. And as you see, she bought 25,000 shares at $2.25 for about $56,000. She has a share count of almost 1 million shares overall. Some people say, "Oh, that's not a lot of money." 50 racks is 50 racks. All right. So, and that's the second time she's bought within the last 6 to 8 months. So she likes the company. And the last slide I just broke down after actually really reading it, dilution of the company is not going to be a huge issue going forward. We're talking about 60,000 shares added to the float for the next 12 quarters, and all the rest is getting paid in cash. That's not bad. I've seen way worse. I've seen way worse. And they're starting to make money. So I'm glad I fumbled through that within the live stream a little bit, because now I know. Now I understand, and now I'm even more excited for what's to come for this company. She actually did a Wall Street Source interview on the 25th. That was Thursday, this past Thursday on the 25th. And they talked for about 20 minutes with the interviewer, and she had some good points. Talked about creating a quote-unquote water bank, trading water with various states. There's various qualities of water, especially within the Mountain West Coast region, and they have a large supply. Not only do they have a large supply, they have a groundwater treatment system to use to also clean up the water as it gets to certain places. Water storage is key. Selling quote-unquote space to companies for water and transportation. Now, if you want a piece of Cadiz's water, you're going to have to, lease it out. You're going to have to buy rent. You want this portion of it, right? This is going to cost you. It's like, some rent space. So I also like about that. And, how it's a finite type of commodity, and it's such a small company with powerful assets around it. It's going to be a high price, whatever they sell, whether it's storage, water, or the assets down the road. They now have flexibility, and I think they're on the right track. They service California primarily, Southern California, Inland Empire, for high-quality water consumption, transportation, and trading. I mean, think about it. LA and the LA region, the Inland Empire is the largest region in California. They're in the right place. They're the ones with the biggest issues for the correct type of water. And so I think they're in the right place location-wise. She also said that $50 million a yearly in water transportation is the potential revenue with these pipelines and whatnot. And that gets into the Cadiz moat, their protection. What's their competitive advantage against, bigger water companies, even if there's smaller water companies out there? What's their competitive advantage? Well, it's their infrastructure that's already close to being operational, using refurbished natural gas pipelines to move water around. They bought a pipeline that can get, it was for natural gas from California to Texas, but now it's going to be water to wherever, Texas, Colorado, wherever. It has those capabilities. And you're saying not many small companies have that, right? But this has been like a 20-year process. I'm happy that I'm on the tail end of that process. I didn't invest in the 1980s. I'm investing now, well, that's 40 years, dang near. I'm investing now. So the timing is everything sometimes. And for some gematria, we have Susan P. Kennedy, good CEO for CDZI, 313 English Ordinal, 133 reduction. Susan P. Kennedy, solid CEO for CDZI, 331 Ordinal, 133 reduction. Susan Kennedy, a great match for Cadiz, 331 English Ordinal, 133 reduction. So she has powerful 33 gematria decodes as well. And again, me fumbling through that loan system with you on the live stream, I'm now starting to realize like where the chart is and where it could go and what's happening for the company. 225, it's, that's not bad. That's kind of valuable for what we went over today. And so I'm thinking I might keep, periodically just, a couple shares here, a couple shares there. Don't overdo it, but, stay invested in the game. That could go a long way. So hopefully Susan keeps up the great work. I've liked what she's done thus far.